called. And it's from Torah, right, from the Alter Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe takes a pasuk from Shir HaShirim, okay? And, right, so it has nothing to do with the Parsha, really. It's not from Parshas Nayach, but he takes a pasuk from Shir HaShirim and very much connects it to what happens in Parshas Nayach. And what do we know? Yeah.
We got a little intro yesterday with Rich Maamar.
Who?
That's
oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. She was talking. She gave us a little summary of
Mayim
this
Rabim.
Mayim. Yeah.
What? Yes. It's the Rebbe's Mayim Rabim is based on this Mayim Rabim. It's.
This is the.
It's an explanation.
This is the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah. This is the Alter Rebbe.
So she was telling us, I think, the Rebbe.
The Rebbe. It's a plain and similar concept. Good morning. Welcome back. I thought my bag was a soft and simple bag. Okay. So, who wrote Shir HaShirim? Shlomo HaMelech. And what is Shir HaShirim?
Story about a girl, king.
Good. So it's really a love story. Okay, it's a love story, and it's really an analogy for what? For the relationship between us and Hashem. So yes, it really is a love story, right? If we can experience it that way. And this pasuk is taken out of Shir HaShirim. Now what's the pasuk? It says Mayim Rabim, many waters, lo yachlu lechabes es ahava, cannot extinguish the love, unahares lo yishtafuha, and the rivers cannot wash it away. Okay, so really, by the way, I don't know, any of you it's really poetic and it's gorgeous, you know? And so he's saying that no waters could ever wash away this love. No waters can, 1 minute, do we have an extra Maamar for, okay. No waters can wash away this love. And then he goes on to say, in Yitin Ishas Kalain Desai, if a person would give all his wealth and all his belongings, everything that belongs to him, and he would say, here, I'm going to give you everything for you to sell me your love. What's the answer to that? Bais Yavuzulai. That's an embarrassment, right? Why? Because
it's not how it works.
You can't sell your love. You can't buy love, you can't sell love, right? It's not something you could, so that is an embarrassment. In other words, he's trying to explain how great is this love that even if I were to tell you, I'm going to give you everything, it would be an embarrassment because it's not something that, love is not something you can buy or give away. Okay? So now, what does this have to do with Parshas Nayach? So, looking at this pasuk from Shir HaShirim, what's one word that... What's one word looking at this? Mayim Rabim lo yachlu lechabes es ahava unahares lo yishtafuha yitin esh l'klan v'zivuzulai. Which word would probably take us to Parshas Nayach? Mayim, exactly. Why? Because Parshas Nayach is all about the flood, the Maamar, the rainwaters that flooded the world. So the Alter Rebbe says Mayim Rabim is referring to the many fears and materialistic worries and anxieties and thoughts that consume us and that make us feel like we're flooding. Okay, that we're being flooded and we're being distinguished. And he's saying all those stuff that come along with living life and just being alive in this world can never extinguish the love that you have towards Hashem. Okay? I want to just say that it was so relevant for me. I was so this Sukkot, my family was here, right? I don't know, did I tell you? Yeah, my in-laws came, everyone. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, 4 married couples with their kids, and 3 single kids. And then I have a sister-in-law who lives here in Israel. She came into Yerushalayim. We were 35 people together.
They came from America?
Yeah.
Wow.
They all came. And so right on my floor, no, that's a great question. Right on my floor, there's a short-term rental.
Ooh, so
Yes, so convenient. Literally, my kids woke up and rolled into the apartment. Yeah, it was really, really nice. But like we say, it was one of those things that it's so nice that it's almost like it was living in a bubble for 2 weeks. first of all, having my family around. Second of all, they really spoiled me. Like, I didn't have to cook. No, they bought all the food. We had a cleaning lady every single day, and like my father will send her to my house also. Like, so my house was being cleaned. She folded my laundry. I didn't have to cook, and I had my family around.
Wow.
And I was just really just like, wow, just like enjoying every moment. But then Matzah Shabbos comes, right? It was Shabbos Bereshis, was after Sukkot, and that Matzah Shabbos they left. And I'm like sitting on my couch, literally like this mind. And I was thinking, okay, I have to go to work tomorrow. On Sunday, I went to Oria. Like, you didn't have school, but all the other seminaries started on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what am I teaching tomorrow? Okay, I'm teaching Mayim Rabim. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I feel now. I don't want to go back into life. Life is just way too lifey. That's the word. Like, you know, whatever it is, it's just, I mean to say, it doesn't even have to be, he's going to talk about darkness. He's going to talk about really tough stuff. But even just life, just the fact that you can't just stay in bed if you want to. You have to get up and go do what you have to do, right? That could feel overwhelming. It's funny. One of my brothers, the whole sukkah, he's like, "What's this word overwhelming? What's underwhelming?" I'm gonna say whelmed. I feel whelmed. Anyway, and then I really, you know, thinking about this mimer really sort of got me. You know, it took a day after eating some cookies and realizing that I'm eating cookies because my family left and I feel a void. But to really get into this again. So this mimer is going to give us the tools. I know it sounds funny, but to appreciate and to realize the purpose of life's hardships and the fears that we have to go through and the anxieties that we experience and any darkness that we experience. He's going to give us the purpose of it and why and I mean, so it becomes my sort of my friend instead of being my enemy. Yeah? Ready? Mm-hmm. Big one, right? I think we discussed it in this class, right? The difference between like living life as a victim versus living life as what would be the opposite of a victim? An empowerment, right? Like things don't happen to me, right? Things happen for me. That's really what this mimer is all about. Okay? Ready? Fine. Hine. And so, Mayim Rabim, and Kol Tirtus HaParnasa are all the stresses of livelihood. V'hamachshavos shebinyane elam haza, and all thoughts that are related to worldly matters. It's funny, because most people, you ask them, what are Mayim Rabim? They're going to tell you Tirtus HaParnasa. For some reason, that sticks. But really, right a second after Tirtus HaParnasa, because many of us, what about those people that don't have Tirtus HaParnasa? And there are such people. Come from very wealthy homes, you never have to worry about money, or if you're 16 and in high school, I hope you're not worrying about making money, right? So it can't only mean livelihood. And right after it says, V'hamachshavos shebe'inyane elam haza. That means any thoughts that have to do with worldly matters. That could mean social pressure, yeah, making friends, fears that we have all the time, right? Anything that's, the minute my nefesh lekis was put into a body and sent into this world, it feels separated from godliness, so now it has all these self-conscious issues. And that is what we're referring to, because it's anything worldly. Okay?
What about health?
For sure. So, is health a material, physical issue?
Yeah, but it says machshava is being in a. Oh, okay. You're also thinking about your health.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very much. Yes. Right. I know because we were just discussing like money. We know money is not everything, right? Someone could be very, very wealthy, but then they have something else. Like no one gets away free. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sound negative, but like everyone has something, right, that they have to deal with. So yeah, so it can't only mean money issues. Ve'im kol zeh, so even with all this worry and fears and livelihood issues and just life, In kol zeh, with all of this, lo yachlu lechavos as ahava, it cannot extinguish the love. Shehu b'chinas ahava misuteres. Now, which love are we referring to? We're referring to the love that is embedded and hidden within every Jew. Sheyesh b'chol nefesh miYisrael, every single Jew has it, b'teva, by nature, mib'chinas nefesh alikish shetiva la'alois v'likolol tamid. Where do we have this embedded natural love from? From the fact that we have a godly soul. Every Jew, what makes you a Jew? Your godly soul. So if you have a godly soul, then what do you automatically also have?
Love for Hashem.
Love for Hashem. Why? Very simple. Because he says the nature of the godly soul, shetiva la'alois v'likolol. The nature of the godly soul always wants to go up. The likolol means to be subsumed. Tamid, always. L'mayla, above. Why are we saying above? What is it trying to be subsumed in? What's the godly soul yearning for?
Hashem.
Reaching good to its source. Think about it, right? If that's where it comes from, right? It's just like a child. A baby is born. What naturally happens?
Wants its mom.
Okay. You're right, it cried. But we're referring to what?
Wants its mom.
Right. Do you know, by the way, that one of the doulas that I worked with at one point in my life, she said that it's fascinating. She realized, they say like by animals, you see this. The minute the animal gives birth, the baby right away goes to nurse from the mother. But she said that the same thing happens with humans. The problem is that the hospital interferes, and like many doctors and nurses don't allow it to happen. But really, if you would just leave things the way they're meant to be, the baby automatically goes to the mother's breast to nurse. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that naturally, a child wants to be close to its mother. That's natural. And if not, then you know that something's wrong. Right? That's where something is wrong. So, the godly soul wants to naturally, and he uses the word tamid, always yearns to go back to its source. Okay? So that's this I would say this Jewish guilt that we have to all deal with. That's where it's coming from. It's not supposed to be in the form of guilt, but we have this like restlessness part of us that always is just like, right? Now, we could cover it over, we could do this, we could do that to try to satisfy it, and we could not be aware of it. But deep down, our godly soul always wants to go back to where it comes from, and it wants to connect to Hashem, and it wants to be close to its source. L'mayla. Now, he compares it to what? Kishal heves ha'olam me'aleha, like a flame that goes up above itself, right? What do we know about fire? Fire always goes up. It always faces upwards, and the reason for that is because the same thing, it wants to go back to where it came from. Kamaisha Kaso, like it says, Le'el mineu rishpa rishpe ish. So in the same Shir Hashirim, the pasuk before Mayim Rabim is that it says Mineha, right? In the Le'el Mineha, in the pasuk before, Rishafeha, its glowing coals, Rishpe Ish are like a burning fire. When you make a barbecue, the coals are first what? Black, and then when you turn it on fire, it becomes white. Once it's white, what do we know about it? It's very hot and it's burning, and you can always use that to what? Start a new fire. Okay, if you're gonna, I never tried it, but if you're gonna rub the coals, what happens? A new fire comes out. So that is what he compares our godly soul to a flame that is burning like coals. Okay. What is it burning? Shalheves, it's a flame of Yud-Kei of Hashem. Shehu b'chinas shalheves haba milamayla. And the reason why this is so, you have to realize, it's the flame that's coming from above. In other words, we're explaining here that no matter how strong the waters are, it cannot extinguish the love that your godly soul has. And the answer for that is, you might ask why? Why not? Why not? If I take a flame and I pour a fire extinguisher on it, can I put it out? Mm-hmm. Yes. So why not this kind of love? Why not this water? Could someone go through so much in life that they just feel, I don't love God?
Is he bringing in fire because also, like the water can never extinguish this fire? Like
exactly.
The Mayim Rabim.
the kind of fire that we're talking about, but it could though. Physically, it could. You could put out coals with water.
No, I'm saying in this like mashal, like
right. In this mashal, he's saying the only reason why the waters can't extinguish this fire of the godly soul. That's exactly the point because it comes from where?
Something that's eternal.
Right. It's not. You didn't create it. If you didn't create this fire, you can't put it out either, or nothing can put it out. In other words, it's coming from a much higher place. If it's coming from Hashem, right? It's you didn't create it. If you didn't create it, you can't destroy it. You understand? And nothing can destroy it because it's coming from a much higher place. That's what he's writing here. Haba milamayla shehi hanefesh alikis shekoydem eslapshusa b'gof hadashmi. Okay, now this godly soul, before it was enclosed in the body, right, in the physical body, it was basking in the glory of Hashem. And it was one in the greatest oneness, right, in the greatest yichud. It was mamish one with the Ein Sof, with the infinite. Okay, so this godly soul, this flame that we're talking about, this fiery love that you naturally have just because that's where you come from, before your soul came into your body and down into this world, it was experiencing this. It was sitting and just experiencing that oneness with Hashem and basking in the glory of Hashem. Okay? So, the issue is though, where are we now?
Not with Hashem.
Exactly. That soul was ripped away, put into a body. But now he's going to say something very powerful. He's going to say it doesn't matter. This is even after it was enclosed in a body, in a physical body, in a physical body, to be busy with material things. This is what is called the many waters. With all of this, you cannot extinguish its love from it always being b'finas ava in a state of love, utshuka in a state of yearning, nifla'a a wondrous state of yearning, la'alois v'likala l'mayla to always want to go up and to be subsumed above the adarabah. Okay, now this is the chiddush over here. Okay, how do we say chiddush in English?
Novel idea.
Yeah, this is the novelty right here in those words. Because the Alter Rebbe is going to say something, right? Until now, what did we say? You're a person, right? But you have a godly soul. And know that. Know that you have a godly soul. Your godly soul was once, it knew exactly who it was close to Hashem. It knew, right, it was basking in the glory. Then it was ripped away, put into a body, sent down into this world. And then we could very easily forget who we are, right? So number one, he says, know that you have a godly soul, and no matter what you go through in life, no matter what tsunamis are taking you over, and you feel like you're literally drowning, pun intended, know that you have a godly soul that has this infinite amount of love towards Hashem, because that's where it comes from. That's number one, right? That in itself is a nice thought, right? But he's going to take it a step further. Okay? Because anyone have a question at this point? I'm just wondering, because sometimes people have the question exactly what he's going to address in the next line and a half. No questions. Amazing. Okay. The Adrabah, but he says now something very, very, very profound. And even more so, Al Yedei Hislapshusa b'Mayim Rabim, through the godly soul being enclosed and going through these many waters, as we mentioned above, it's going to reach a higher level of what it had before. From before it came down to this world. As we are going to explain. Mm-hmm.
So the question was why even
bother?
Yeah.
Like, why would God do that?
Yeah.
Why is everything is so nice and dandy and beautiful? The godly soul is with its source, it's with God. It's sitting and enjoying the rays of God's light. why mess things up like that? Like, why take the godly soul and put it through such a traumatic experience, throw it down into the world, into a very low world, and then we come into this world and we go through a lot of painful situations, and we have a lot of anxiety and worries and fears and livelihood and all the beautiful stuff of this world that many of us feel very overwhelmed by. And many times, that's what's so amazing about this Maamar. This is exactly what keeps people away from God. Right? Their suffering, their pain, their questions. I just recently spoke to someone and she was like, it makes no sense. That was like her. I'm like, you're right. It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense? No. It makes no sense. Yeah.
I was reading in the Tanya in chapter 9 about like the animal soul and like what is the purpose of it, and it kind of reminds me of that like why would Hashem even give us this like desire to do like the Yitzhar, like why would he give us this desire to do something that wouldn't connect us to him? It's so that once we do choose to connect with him and do the right thing, then like it's so much greater. Like when you have these material things and then you either use them to serve Hashem or choose the right thing.
Amazing, but can I just read what you're saying is beautiful. The point is that when the animal soul can be transformed, that's the greatness. Now, it's true. That's exactly the point. Because the godly soul, before it came down into this world, it was just a godly soul, right? Now, it had everything it needs, true. It was in a very good place, but it didn't have the qualities of the transformation of the animal soul with it, or the light that comes from the darkness. Okay, you get it? Now, but that's what we have to understand is, and this is really my thing, so don't mind me, that it's going to be painful. But when pain can become your friend, that's when you can really soar in life. You understand? It's like realizing, oh, this is my soul's journey. This is my soul's journey. You get what I'm saying? We suffer when we fight it. That's when we suffer.
Oh, just interesting.
Yeah. I thought we discussed it before.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little here and there, yeah. It's always gonna come up. I was laughing. I was in a seminary and I was doing Ani L'Dagi with them. We got to finish it. We're very lucky because we learn every morning together. But in the other seminaries, we go like once a week. It's like, how much do you think we're gonna get through? So we didn't finish the Maamar, and they were very upset because like they're like, whoa, like we're in the middle of a discussion. I said, well, guess what? Here comes Mayim Rabim. It's all gonna come up again. It's all gonna come up again because the core is always the same. Okay. So that's the point. The bombshell that he just threw now is that not only will your godly soul always want to be close to Hashem even in this world, but even more so, it's going to gain a deeper connection to godliness in this world than what it already had before it came to this world. Okay? Now, it's very hard to really understand this. And it's hard to wrap our minds around this. Right? Yeah? Anyone? You're accepting this fully? Awesome. That's great. Most people find it. Okay. Let's go. V'hine, now he's going to explain why. Okay? V'chinas Mayim Rabim, the concept of many waters. Hanayim Lamala, as we mentioned above, Nikris Mei Nayach. They're called the waters of Nayach. Ukamaisha Kasov, and like it says in Yeshaya, Asher Nishbati, right? Hashem is talking. Hashem is saying, Asher Nishbati, I have promised, Me'avar Me Nayach Oid al Aretz, that I will never pass again the waters of Nayach on the land. Kei Nishbati Miketzef Alecha, so too I promise not to be angry, Umiga'ar Bach, and scream at you again. You all know this, right? After the Mabul, what did Hashem promise? That he's never ever going to bring another flood against the world. And this kind of anger that he showed the world, he's never ever going to show again. Okay? Now, the interesting point over here is the Alter Rebbe is going to really question, why is it called Mei Noach? The waters of Noach. Isn't Noach's water? Whose water is it? Hashem's water. It's like we're saying Noach's water is what destroyed the world. Isn't that funny? It should be like, okay, Noach was a big figure in this story, true, and he was one of the good guys, and therefore he was able to survive this flood. He wasn't even a tzaddik. Remember? He was just he just didn't get into trouble. And therefore he was able to survive. And now we're saying these waters that transformed the world. Okay, I just told you the next thing about these waters that flooded the world is the waters of Noach. Why is it called the waters of Noach? Okay? Kihine, now he's going to explain. What does Noach mean? Noach, hu naicha derucha. Noach means a relaxed spirit. Shehu bechinas shvisa. That is the concept of shvisa. What do you see in the word shvisa? Lashevet, to sit. Okay, what else do you see? Shabbat. What's Shabbat?
Peace.
Rest, stopping. You know why Shabbos is called Shabbos? Because it says Vayishbais b'yom hashvi, that on the seventh day God's work stopped. So the concept here is stop. Automatically, when someone stops working, what do we know? Hopefully, he's relaxing. Yeah. So Noach comes from the word Shabbos, and that means relaxed. Okay.
How does it come from?
Right, because in the Chumash there's Targum on the side, Targum Onkelos, Aramaic.
Mm-hmm.
So many times we look at how the Targum explains it, and when it says Noach, it says Shabbos. So they go hand in hand. He's going to write it here. Noach is a relaxed spirit. It's the idea of relaxation. Just like when a person stops from working. And like it says, that God stopped working on the seventh day. V'targumai, right, Targum Onkelos over there in the Parsha where it says Vayishbais b'yom hashvi, the Targum writes V'nach b'yom hashviya, and he rested on the seventh day. Umasha kasov, and that's why it says Noach beis pamim. It says 2 times. In Parshas Noach, it says like this. How does the Parsha start? It says Eila toldos Noach. These are the children of Noach. Noach ish tzaddik. So why does it say Noach twice? It could have said Eila toldos Noach ish tzaddik. It didn't have to say Eila toldos Noach ish tzaddik. It says Noach twice. Okay, so that's what the Alter Rebbe says. U'mashakasav Noach beis pa'amim, and the fact that it says Noach 2 times. Heim naicha de le'ela v'naicha de tahtaya. It is the rest of. Remember, there's always 2 levels. There's ilah and tata. There's a greater level of rest and a lower level of rest. Shehu b'china Shabbos tata v'Shabbos ilah. Also in Shabbos, we have a higher Shabbos and a lower Shabbos. Sheyeh la'aset shenikras yom shekulei Shabbos. That's the higher Shabbos is going to be when? Right, in the future. La'aset means in the future. In the future, it says that it's going to be yom shekulei Shabbos. Girls, can you imagine? We're not going to have to work. Awesome. It's going to be Shabbos. It's going to be Shabbos, and it's going to be the higher level of Shabbos because the whole world is going to be transformed into a new state. So it's going to stay that way. Okay? But now, in this world now, the Shabbos that we taste every week is Shabbos Tata, the lower level of Shabbos. Okay? Shabbos Ilah Sheyeh La'asit Shenikras Yom Shekulei Shabbos. It's going to be in the future, which is the day that is all Shabbos. Masha Ein Kain. But on the other hand, Shabbos Tata, the lower level of Shabbos, Einai Kulei Shabbos. It's not always going to be Shabbos. Kasher Yisbar, as we're going to explain. Okay. So he just threw in something here, explaining like this. First of all, we have to understand why are they called the waters of Noach. In order to understand why they called the waters of Noach, we have to understand what does Noach mean. And what does Noach mean? Restful. Okay? A relaxed spirit. And then he goes on to explain that that's really that there's a Shabbos Ilosh, there's Shabbos Tata, there's a higher Shabbos, there's a lower Shabbos. But in general, the important point here to know is that Shabbos equals relaxation, stopping. stopping. Just not running, stopping. Being present. Okay? That's Shabbos.
Mm-hmm. So like this explanation why there were two times, it's like just a side point.
Exactly. Like I don't want you to get confused by it. It's like we're gonna come back to it because really everything is integral. Like everything is really connected. He wants to show us the concept of Shabbos, right? And then to know that when Mashiach comes, that's what's really going to happen in the world. Now it's like we get tastes of it.
Like that's the real Shabbos.
That's real Shabbos, and that's really what we're working towards, right? That relaxed spirit, even though we have so much Mayim Rabim. Okay. But anyone have a question? We're saying that the waters of Nayach is relaxed spirit.
It's not relaxed.
Yeah, it's not relaxing so much.
It's like it sounds like the
It killed
paradox of
killed
this
the whole world.
It's like, oh my gosh, you're flooding the world. There's chaos. People, I'm thinking of the coloring books that my kids bring home from school. Like people drowning, houses floating.
Oh my.
So funny how
It's so innocent.
I love it. Every time they bring back parchment papers and the way people draw out the parchment is so creative and original. I'm like, I wonder how it really looked. Like this is how our minds picture it. So that sounds quite chaotic, no? And let's go back to our waters, the waters of our life. Are they relaxed? No, they actually turn me upside down, inside out.
If they were relaxed, then like it wouldn't be an issue.
Exactly. But they are. That's the crazy part. The author is saying that it's Mayayach. It's the water of the relaxed spirit. So what's going on over here? Okay? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Kihine, the Cha'ira, ain't a move on Inyan HaMabel. He's saying, we really have to understand the entire concept of the flood, of the Mabel. Why? She'im haya rak lahavir uleshaches ha'anashim ha'chaitim. If the only purpose of the Mabel was to get rid of the corrupt people, the people that sin, what do you think his question is going to be? If the Mabel is about getting rid of corruption or corrupted people, then what could have God done very easily?
Struck them dead.
Yeah. In 3 seconds, he could have sent the coronavirus and killed them out. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be what?
Water.
Not only water, but like
so much effort. Like
look.
so much effort.
Yeah, like the entire world was dipped in water. I mean, that sounds like a bit, intense, right? Okay. So now the author asks this question. שאם היה רק להעביר לשפכי טענה שמחליטים, למה הוא צריך לבחינת רעש גדול כזה? He's like, why does he need to make such loud noise? Okay? הלוי ברגע אחד, he could have in 1 minute, היה ביכולת Hashem has the ability in 1 second, להעבירם אף בלוי המבול. He could have gotten rid of them without a flood. So it's a good question? Okay, so here's the answer. אך באמס היה המבול בא לטהר את הארץ. The Mabul is coming to purify the land. Shene'emar, because it says, Ki mala ha'aretz chamas. It says in Nayach, right? It says, why did the Mabul come? Ki mala ha'aretz chamas. The land was full of corruption. Stealing, corruption, right? But does it say the people or the land? The land. So he says, it's not only about the people. The entire land got corrupt. Okay? Then it's and it got really, really damaged. The haya nitzrach l'tahara, and we needed to purify. V'lazois b'hamabel dafka, and this is why specifically Hashem brought a flood. Shehu b'chinas mayim, and it's the concept of water. V'chtei l'taher es hatmein, in order to purify the impure. Shehu kedugmas hamikvah, it's just like a mikvah. Right, mem sa'a, which is made out of 40 sa'a, shehi mitaris atatami, because the mikvah is what purifies someone that is impure. Kemaychen, so too, hayamabel ba b'chtei l'tar as kol haaretz. The mabel was almost like a mikvah to come and purify the entire world. Okay, wow. First of all, what is this 40 sa'a? So what do we know? Just know this, by the way, whenever you need to use a mikvah, it has to be a kosher mikvah. one of the things that makes a mikvah kosher is that it's filled with 40 sa of water. Okay, it has to have 40. I don't know exactly what measurement sa is, but 40 sa of water. Now, what do we know about the number 40? Does it sound familiar?
It says how much it is in here.
No, but what does it have to do with the Mabel?
40 days.
40 days.
Exactly. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. So the author is saying here, it's almost like the world went into the mikvah. And what do we know also? When a woman goes to the mikvah, every piece of her body, every single last strand of hair has to be submerged in the water. Otherwise, it's not a valid what's it called?
Immersion.
What's the English word?
Immersion.
Immersion. Thank you. It's not a valid immersion. The same as what it says about the Mabel. Every last mountaintop was covered in water. Okay, so does it sound like a mikvah? Absolutely. Okay, amazing. So what happens with a mikvah?
You get and
After what?
you get pure.
Tefillah?
Yeah.
Nothing. To mikvah.
Nothing happens? It's
You
like
get
a dog.
pure, and then you can have relationships with your husband.
Oh, it happens, but it happens to women. Doesn't happen to mikvah. What is the question?
What do you mean? I'm asking what happens when we dip ourselves in the mikvah? Like, what's the concept?
Oh, okay. Because I've heard what happens to mikvah after.
Oh, nothing. No, the mikvah stays the same. No, we want to discover here. Okay, first of all, we said, so it's not only the corrupt people that Hashem is trying to destroy. There's something that the world needed to go through at this point. Get it? Now, the question is, how are you going to know what the world went through? I think what would help us understand this properly is if we understand what happens to us when we go into the mikvah. You understand what I'm saying? So mikvah is true. We're going from impure to pure. Okay? Now, what happens? Okay, think about it. Why water?
Water is like Torah.
Okay. So when we go into water, okay, when we submerge ourselves completely in water, okay?
It's like being rebirthed.
Right. How long can we live underwater?
A minute.
Yeah, like really not long. And in that moment, when I'm under the water, I have to completely what?
Let go.
Exactly. Become one with Hashem. Bittul. It's literally bittul in a very exercised way. Why? Because I have to completely let go of everything and sort of rely on. Right, I'm becoming one with the water, and I'm becoming one with my source. It's like Hashem, you're the one that's giving me life, and I'm letting go completely. And that bittul, right, of completely letting go, and it's scary. It's very scary because why? Why is it scary? Because if I'm going to stay in the mikvah for too long, what might happen? I might die, right? Yes? Chas v'shalom. Shouldn't happen. But what happens when I'm able to emerge from the mikvah? If I was able to let go in the water, what happens when I emerge? I'm reborn. I'm a new person. I'm a new person, and I could bring whatever it is with whatever I got in the water. I bring with me now to the dry land. I'm reborn, and and it's like they compare it to a baby in the mother's womb, right? The baby in the mother's womb is in water. Right, and then it comes out of the water, it's born a new person. Okay, so let's go back to the Mayim Rabim. Anyone? Mayim Rabim. There are many waters that are going to make us feel like we are literally choking. But what?
If we let go, then we can be reborn through it.
Yeah. If we could look at the waters and say, okay, you're not going to destroy me, you're going to be my mikvah. You're going to be my mikvah. That's what happens in the world.
You need to come out of the waters for it to be
Exactly.
stay in the waters.
Exactly. But when you could look at the water and see it as a mikvah, you're going to come out. If you see it as something that's drowning you, you might just get stuck there. You get it? It's all in how I experience it. It's how my perception of what's going on, right?
Like your mindset.
Right. In other words, you can always ask the rain, like when it's pouring outside, you can ask it, are you here to destroy me, or are you here to bring out a better part of me? Okay. And it's scary, and it's painful, because, again, it does feel like it might destroy you, and it feels like, oh, again, God, you're doing this to me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it could very easily, and I think that's what Sasha was saying, that you could very easily get stuck in the water. Okay? So what happened to the world? Okay, what happened to the world? The amazing part is, so right here in this Maamar, he doesn't really explain it, but he really hinted it to it. He said the world went into the mikvah. Now, once the world goes into the mikvah, what do we know? After it comes out of the mikvah, it has to be a new world. Means to say, it can't be how it was before. So, on these Maamarim, there's always a beer. Like in the next Maamar, there's an explanation written by one of the later rabbis, and over there he explains. So I feel like I can't skip it because it's like gorgeous, and he does actually come back to it later on in this Maamar. The world changed, and if the world changes, that means who changed? We changed. Okay. What do we know? Before the Mabul, people lived
a lot of years.
Much longer. Okay, people lived much longer. And after the Mabul, suddenly it's like 120 years and it's over, right? So what changed? Okay, something changed. And it's explained that before the Mabul, it was more like Hashem was like the boss. And it was like, it was like Hashem, and he gave koach to the people. But the minute they disconnected themselves from him, there was able to be corruption. And it's almost like they destroyed themselves. What happened by the Mabul and why the Mabul had to destroy the world was that there's two worlds, right? You ever heard this? There's Olam Hatayu and Olam Hatikon. What does Tayu mean? Chaos. How do you spell chaos? C-H. H?
Mm-hmm.
H?
Yeah.
C-H-A-O-S.
A-O-S. Yeah. And Tikon is the taken. To fix. Which world do we live in? Olam Hatikon. What are we fixing? Yeah, what happened? What's Shviras HaKelim?
Too much light in my
Right, so Shviras means the breaking of the vessels. What happened is, Olam Hatayu there was a lot of light. Okay, too much light. And the vessels that the light were in were too small to contain the light. So what happened to all those vessels? They broke. And then they fell into Olam Hatikon. And what we're doing, what are we fixing? We're gathering all the light that fell. Right now there's Nitzaitzim. There's many sparks of light that fell. And we're gathering it back and sort of putting them back into vessels. But this time, what?
We have enough.
We have bigger vessels and we put the lights in. And that's what we're fixing, okay? But look at this, girls, okay? Olam Hatayu, which one is higher? Which one's coming from a higher place? Closer to good, okay? But what do we know about it? I know it sounds crazy, but what?
It didn't work.
Yeah, but that means that what? That any time I'm going to have to reach into anything that's coming from a very high place, it's going to be with chaos. No, it's a real thing.
Oh, it is.
It's a real thing. And in other words, what happened was, he explains that after the Mabul, before the Mabul, the world was just Olam HaTikun. In Olam HaTikun, it's very black and white. It's good and bad, right and wrong. And therefore, everything is very boxy. And it's like once you leave the box, you left the box. What happened by the Mabul is Hashem revealed an energy of Olam HaTohu into the world. And the world couldn't handle it. So therefore, it had to go through the Mabul. But after the Mabul, what do we have now? We have energy from Olam HaTohu being revealed. That means that what? Suddenly now, what do we know? In Olam HaTohu, right, is there really, there's no bad. Everything is really good. In other words, where does the Nefesh HaBahamis come from? Olam HaTohu. But now, think about it, okay? Your Nefesh HaBahamis, really in its source, is coming from a very, very high place.
Wait, how does it come from Olam HaTohu? Like, I don't really understand. Nefesh HaBahamis, like the animal soul?
The animal soul really comes from a higher place of the godly soul. But because it fell down into this world, in this world, it looks like, it has its limitations of the way it expresses itself is quite chaotic. It's quite, it looks, I don't even want to say bad, because really we don't call it bad.
Like the godly soul comes from Tikkun?
Yeah. But what happens is that after the Mabul, we get this energy of Olam HaTohu. That means that something inside of us has transformed. That means that what? No matter what I go through, no matter how far I move myself away from Hashem, from God, I can always come back to myself because I have that goodness inside of me that I'm able to access. Do you get what I'm saying? Before the Mabul, the minute they disconnected themselves from God, they got destroyed. Now, God gave a certain energy in people where you can do the worst things in the world, you can go as far as you want, you always have the energy and the power to come back to yourself because something inside of us changed. We have access to Olam HaTohu. In Olam HaTohu, in the essence, everything is good. You get what I'm saying? But it's going to look chaotic. It's going to feel chaotic. It's going to be chaos. Now you understand a little bit why Mayim Rabim is going to give my godly soul something deeper than what it had before. Yeah?
Wait, so why did we say Noach refers to like calm waters?
Because once
it's before chaos.
Because no, it's at the time of. Great question.
Wait.
Because it sounds crazy, but when we realize that in this chaos, I'm developing a deeper relationship with myself and with Hashem, that brings serenity. So you can have serenity within chaos. Make sense?
Kind of. I just how do you get to that place?
So this Maamar, number one, is first we have to know this concept. It means that you have to be able to look at the waters and say, hi, you're my friend, and let's do this work, okay? It hurts, but how do we do it? That's the next part of this Maamar, and we'll discuss it probably tomorrow. Yeah, he definitely talks about how to do it. But again, remember, step number one is if we could look at pain as something that's actually good for us and not our enemy, we're going to stop running away from it and trying to fight it. We're going to start embracing it. And that already is transformation. You get what I'm saying? Yes? Yeah.
So before the Mabul was only Olam HaTikun.
Exactly. After the Mabul,
And why? So
Olam Hato was revealed in a very small, on a small scale, obviously. So
but we have both. Olam.
what?
We have both Olam Hatikun and Olam Hatahu now.
We live in No, we don't have both. We live in Olam Hatikun, but we have a little bit of a revelation of Olam Hato. Before the Mabul, it was only Olam Hatikun.
And why was that bad? Like why?
No one said it's bad.
I mean, like why did that lead to the like?
Because again,
bad.
when you're not connected to Olam Hatayu and Olam Hatikun, it's very black and white. So once they went into black, once they disconnected themselves from God, they destroyed themselves because they don't have the ability to reach the goodness within the darkness. You understand? Everything really in its source is good. But when I can't access that, so then I have to be destroyed because I'm stuck within the bad. It's good and bad, right and wrong. It's not it's not like mixed together. You know what I'm saying?
And then after the Mabul.
The Mabul, the reason why the world had to be destroyed is because the world couldn't handle the revelation of Olam Hatayu. It literally, the world was transformed to a new world. A transformation happened here. So it's not only about getting rid of corrupt people, but it's almost like recreating the world anew. Also I heard, it says, right? The Ruach Elokim or Chefes al Pnei Mayim. When God created the world, it says the Ruach Elokim and the Spirit of God Chefes al Pnei Mayim. And then, so what happened? The world was really what? Water was everywhere. Water from above, water from below came, and not only came, it was. What happened was the whole world was water, and then what happened? They split. Some of the waters went up, some of the waters went down. And now, what does it say about the Mabul? Where did the waters come from, by the way? Did they only come from above? No, they also came from below. It says that the hot springs from under the ground let out water. So it literally went back to pre-creation almost. Water came down from above, water came up from below, and the whole world became water. Right? And then it's almost like God, so to say, recreated a new world. And this concept this had to happen because Olam Hato, the chaotic world, was revealed and the world couldn't handle it. And my husband was saying he doesn't know if whatever, but till today there are certain springs, hot springs underground that are still giving forth water. Meaning to say, it never went back to the way it was before. The way it was before is that no water came up from the ground. You get what I'm saying? It's a new world. A new world, so now we have new energy. Yeah.
Is the Rebbe gonna explain like why Hashem didn't just create it like that in the first place?
There is explanation for that. Yeah, I know. When I learned this first time, I'm like, okay, you made a mistake.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, everything has a reason. Do we know? I don't know. I could find out, but it's also like, think about it, like Adam and Chava, right? That the fact that it's obvious that God didn't want to create a world where we stay in Eden all the time, right? But it happened that they had to come to Eden and they had to eat from the tree of knowledge and then they had to be kicked out of there, and now we live in our world. Like, but I'll ask if there's a known reason why. But there definitely the world went through a mikvah, it went through a transformation, and now it's a new world. That's it's very nogea to us because we're living in post-Mabul, post-flood. So there's a new energy that we all carry within ourselves.
Was there any like certain aspect about like the physical land that was like why did like
the land need to go through it?
Yeah.
That's the point. We're saying that a new world was created. The world changed. Not only the people. The world changed. You understand?
I'm just wondering like how. Like what it
went
what
through
was
a
it
mikvah.
like? No, like what was it like before? Like we talked about what the people were like before. We're like, what was
the land like before? I have no idea. Well, we do know the concept of a land being. They say like Eretz Yisrael, the earth is different, right? Not only the people, it's the earth itself is different. So there is such a concept that not only people carry certain, identity, but Earth also has the power to carry, identity.
I have a question. Have you found in Midrash that Eretz Yisrael wasn't covered with water during the mountain? Like that was, water was everywhere.
Yeah? You learned that?
I've heard it.
It's possible. That's fascinating. I never heard that.
Like I don't know the source. I can ask.
I could ask my husband. Interesting. Okay, it's great to be back.